What's up, everyone? Thrift Barringer here, Georgia, Alabama Sports Live, and I am at my old stomping grounds, Columbus State University, and I'm with the new man, the new leader of CSU Athletics, Justin Hay. He comes from Lenore Ryan. How are you doing? Thank you so much for making time for us, man.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir, man. Excited about this. So as we had talked about off air, and for those that are watching right now, we're going to really get in the background of Justin Hay. I know you had your press conference. We kind of introduced you a little bit, but I want more of a personal touch for the entire community out there to understand who's about to lead CSU. That's a big part of the Columbus and Tri-City area. So without further ado, instead of me asking a bunch of questions, I'm going to let you start from the very beginning, where you were from, where it led to your playing days, that led to you coaching, to being an admin, and then ultimately led you here to CSU. So the floor is yours. Tell your story, Justin.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate it. And I grew up in Mississippi, South Mississippi. Played baseball from a very young age. Played in college. Went to two different junior colleges, Southwest Mississippi Community College and then Wallace-Dothan Community College down in Alabama. And then transferred to Fulton University in Montgomery, Alabama. And, during that time, gave up one of the longest home runs of my career over here at Golden Park during the Southern States Athletic Conference Championship tournament there. So spent some time in Columbus during my playing days. But after I got through playing baseball, immediately went into coaching baseball, fell in love with really helping student athletes find their footing and helping them grow, and coached Southwest Mississippi Community College, coached at Barton College in North Carolina, Wilson, North Carolina, back home to Mississippi for 5 years. And during that time, I became an assistant AD. While I was the assistant baseball coach, really started to enjoy the administrative side of things and realized that I could fulfill my passion of helping student athletes in other ways other than coaching. And so transitioned into full-time administration when I went to Lenore Ryan University in Hickory, North Carolina, and was there for 6 years.
Wow.
Before I took this job here in April.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. And, you made that transition. Was it more for the fact that you could reach more athletes from being just an assistant coach in baseball? You're only dealing with the baseball players. As you get into admin, you're touching almost every single sport. Do you feel like, is that why you wanted to make the transition? What was it that really ultimately led you to admin?
I started my master's degree at Southern Miss in sports administration, sports management. And started diving in and helping. And I think it was that I could have a greater impact on more people. I started interacting more with student athletes from different sports and learning, and just kind of started to enjoy how I could make an impact outside of just coaching. And I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy being out and about, and things just kind of lined up, like life does sometimes.
100%.
And was really excited when I got the opportunity to go to Hickory, and had my first child during that time, and that might have played into a little bit of the move. And come to find out, administration, there's not a whole lot. There's not fewer hours in administration, but
more, if anything,
If anything, but at home most nights.
And then I know that allows you to have more time with the family, which is what you wanted. But going back to your playing days, man, why was baseball the sport that you loved so much? Did you play any other sports when you were in high school and stuff? But why was ultimately baseball the one you chose for college?
Yeah, my dad was a big basketball guy. I played basketball up until ninth grade, and wasn't very good at it. Could rebound and pass, and that was kind of my role. But baseball was always my passion. I think from early on, I was a catcher, I was a pitcher. I did both in college. The chess match of playing baseball, it was how you think through certain aspects. And, I don't know if it was because TBS was playing the Braves every night, and they were so good at that time, and we got to watch that rotation. But as I have a brother that's 18 months older than me, and we both played baseball in college, and I think as we grew together, that's just what we did. But I love the game of baseball because of, like I said, the chess match and thinking through it and pitching backwards and calling the game. And there's not many games like baseball when it comes to the strategy.
100%. And so when you talk about that, do you think that helped you become the leader you are today, especially when talking about strategy, when trying to put plans in place, building all athletics at a school? Do you feel like your playing days at baseball kind of helped you transition, or not really?
I think it showed me what leadership can do for people that are very early parts of their life,
Right.
and how you can mold and help people grow. I don't know that I've ever sat down and thought about how the game of baseball. I'm sure there's some aspects in there,
Right.
but I think more so I played for coaches and was around administrators. And as I looked back, as I was getting into coaching, I was helping people. I really started to notice that there were a lot of people that helped me get to where I was and helped me grow and helped me get through tough times, right? And even in my failures was able to grow. And I think that's what empowered me, is it was my way of being able to give back to the people that gave to me,
Right.
and helped me to get where I am today, because there's a whole line of people that I could thank for helping me get here.
Right.
And a lot of them are coaches or administrators.
Well, I have to ask, you talk about that line. You don't have to name every one of them, but some people that were integral part and mentors in your life, especially as you transition to the professional world and coaching and admin.
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with my dad. He was there with me a lot, and the way he handled certain things.
Right.
And I remember in 7th grade I thought I should be starting on the varsity team, and I complained about it. And he said, "Well, go tell the coach you think you should play if you think you can play."
Right.
And I was like, "Well," he said, "Well, you didn't want me to tell you, did you?"
Sure.
I think that type of mentorship from my dad was like, "Well, go tell him." Eventually got in the game, realized that maybe I wasn't quite ready as a 7th grader as I thought it was. But and then as I move on, and I got Mackie Sasser at Wallace Dothan Community College, who played 9 or 10 years in the pros for the Mets.
Right.
I learned a lot from him. My coaches at Southwest, my coaches at Faulkner, Patrick McCarthy, and I really feel like they had different ways of molding me, because I was in
Right.
different phases of my life.
Right.
But really, my high school coaches probably poured a lot into me. And then when I played college baseball, I think I had 4 different head coaches the 4 years I played.
Right.
But I still talk to them
On a regular basis, no doubt about it, man, which is awesome. And I just want to make sure you give some shout outs, because when people go back and watch this interview, you don't want to feel like you left anyone out, man.
Yeah.
So we're going to end this interview. It's going to be a 2-part. We're going to talk about the direction of CSU and what Coach Hay, can we call you Coach Hay, Justin Hay? What is it? What do you want to be called? Justin, there we go. Who is taking over CSU Athletics, and what he think is the future of CSU and helping grow and build what is already a lot of successful programs. But I want you to talk about your wife, and because you mentioned her in the press conference, how she's the rock star.
Absolutely.
She's the big part and major reason why you're so successful. Talk about your relationship with her and how important that is. We got young coaches watching right now. We got young ADs. How important is it to have a spouse that believes in your vision and knows what it takes to be in sports?
Well, I think back to the Nick Saban interview or when he talks about Miss Terry dating the guy that owned the gas station, and Nick saying, "Well, you could have been, the wife of a guy who owned a gas station." She said, "No, if I'd married him, he would be the head coach at Alabama." And I love that story, because it really is true that when people are in athletics, high school, travel ball, college athletics, your family has to be a part of it.
Right.
And they, my wife believes in helping people grow just as much as I do. And, there are times where it's tough when you're gone a lot. And I got my daughter's asking me, "Do you have to work again?" But so we try to bring them on campus as much as possible, so they
Right.
get to see the athletes and they get to understand that we're all this big family.
Right.
But yeah, she's the rock. When I moved to North Carolina to coach at Barton, I was young, and I remember telling her, like, "Hey, I'm moving out here to chase my career. You can come with me." And she followed me. When we moved back home to Mississippi, I remember apologizing to her, because I realized that I was putting the wrong thing first.
Right.
And who really helped me get through the challenges of being a coach.
Right.
So, you've got to have a supportive spouse that understands why you do what you do. And I think our why is so important when we look at the late hours, and it can't be about, I'm an athletic director, or I'm a coach. It has to be more so, I wake up because I want to affect positive change on student athletes.
Right.
And I have my wife is so I'm so grateful that she wants to do the same thing,
Right.
and that she's there with me. She's at all the games. She's sometimes more involved in the wins and losses and the roller coaster of the emotions,
Right.
because she gets to know our student athletes,
Right.
and she knows what it takes to be successful. And so when they lose or we win, we celebrate the highs, and we get through the lows. To have somebody there that understands. I'm not saying that it's perfect all the time, right? Like, there are still challenges with it, but at the end of the day, she's never looked at me and said, "Don't go." Like,
Right.
hey, I need to go to the Elite Eight. I'm going to Evansville.
Right.
I know this isn't what we had planned this week.
Right.
A good thing for us, we always try to plan something around championship time,
Right.
because it seems like the more we plan, the more we have to cancel it, concerts and things, because we're going to a championship somewhere. And
Right.
so she's never once complained about that. She's like, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. And again, that support, knowing that you have that at home, you don't have to feel worried, allows you to do your job at the full capability and being successful at that. You talk about helping student athletes. You keep referring to that. That love for wanting to give back, and really take these student athletes, these kids, as your own. You want to make sure in any aspect of life they can go on and be successful. Where did that come from? Where did that passion to do that come from? Because you got to have passion for it.
Absolutely. I think it started with my parents,
Right.
and seeing how they were willing to help in any way they could. And they weren't in sports, but seeing that. And then, that realization one day when you're a young college athlete, that I couldn't be here without a bunch of people that helped me get here.
100%.
And I think that humility, whether it happens because of struggle, or it happens because you're reading a book, or it happens because somebody told you about it, or maybe you're just born with it. I think when we get to that place in life, you realize, wow, the impact that these people have had on me. And I just was blessed with, people from an early age, and friends' dads who took us in. And then a guy, his name's Mr. Reese Nunnery, and he was like my second dad. He took me to Southern Miss football games, and just to watch how he helped other people, and how he talked about where sports can really grow.
Right.
I said in my press conference, I grew up showing dairy cows too. And, we have to be intentional, because
Right.
we say sports builds all these characteristics,
Right.
but so does a lot of other things, right? You can
100%.
build discipline and ability to handle adversity and all those things in learning to play the piano, in showing dairy cows, in playing sports. And I think it's the intentionality. So I think the realization of that for me, really happened towards the end of my college career. And maybe after that final game at Emory-Riddle, when we lost out in the regional in 2010, and realizing that baseball was over.
Mm-hmm.
And, I had a roommate who walked in, and I was still in my uniform, I was still in my cleats, and baseball was my identity. And I didn't realize that was foolish.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, and he had a different outlook on life. And he said, "You can wear that uniform the rest of your life? Let's go get in the ocean." And it kind of at that moment realized that, I'm not just a baseball player. So through having to search for my identity there, I really had to accept that I was way more than a baseball player. It wasn't my identity. And I had to go in and realize that the people that helped me grow and helped me get to where I were there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And I want to kind of piggyback on what you said. I think those 23 to 26, 27, those are crucial years, man, especially for a man. We're finding our identity in that time period. You're trying to find your what you want to do with your life, what your legacy is going to be. And it's tough, man, especially in today's climate. So I love how you said that, because it's kind of, I had a unique story and something similar. It hit me right around that time period when I started changing my outlook. And now I feel like I'm kind of reaping the benefits of
Absolutely.
making that change, what you're talking about. But we're here sitting with an athletic director, state of the programs at Columbus State University. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about why Justin Hayes said, CSU, you're my new home, right after this break.
Hello, everybody. This is DJ Jones with the Sports Vision's morning show for the best in local, regional, and national sports news. Weekdays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
You can find the Sports Vision's morning show on Facebook, YouTube. Also, you can listen to us on Apple and Spotify by typing in the Sports Vision's morning show, and download the Sports Vision's radio app right now in your app store today.
Sports Vision 92.1. We are your hometown sports guys.
Welcome back to the program, CSU. Justin, I graduated from here in 2019.
Okay.
I helped start the radio program, WCUG. I was actually the first voice on there. So coming back to my alma mater and then seeing a guy like you got a lot of passion. I'm excited, and I feel like CSU doesn't get promoted as much as it should because there are so many great athletic programs. The campus is absolutely beautiful, and I guess that kind of leads me to my question. I'm probably mentioning some of them, but what was the reasons why you decided to move your family in a good position you were in at a powerhouse in Lenore Ryan to come to Columbus, Georgia?
I mean, I think you started off with a couple of the reasons, right? I think, in the college athletic world, you're always running up against people, especially in the Division II regional model where you're playing. And so, but growing up playing baseball, Columbus State, national championship in 2008, runner-up at 18, knew who Columbus State was from that. But then as I've gotten administration and been in Division II, continue to follow. And you look around, you see who's good, who's doing what can we take from them. And so you kind of know. But from the outside looking in, I've always been just very intrigued by Columbus State. Very good school, very good athletic programs. Closer to Mississippi where my parents are, which is great with two grandkids. Was able the first week we lived in Columbus, they took the grandkids, and my wife and I lived downtown. Got to hit the whole downtown scene for a week,
right.
Ate our way through downtown. And, so from the outside looking in, I've always thought Columbus State was a great job.
Right.
And then I had the ability to come with Lenore Ryan basketball team down here for a week during the regional basketball tournament.
Yeah.
And kind of knew this was in the hopper, that it could be a possibility. So as I was out and about in the community, asked some questions. I think community's hugely important to the success of any university. And so heard some good things. I heard that there was some room to grow in some areas. So really the programs and where they are, the success, the community really helped. And then I got to sit down with Dr. Rayfield and was blown away by her and was really excited to come work for her.
Right.
I think her vision and her leadership, the people win, right? So whether it's coaches or leaders or student athletes, people win.
Yeah.
And as I looked, and I was in a good situation, I wasn't necessarily looking to leave, but I knew that I eventually wanted to be an AD, and this was a really great opportunity.
Yeah, man.
And, as I said in some interviews earlier, when I really looked under the hood of CSU, I was even more blown away. Like, okay, it's in a good place. There's some room to grow. There's great people. I think this is the right place for me.
Yeah, and you keep talking about the community part. You're right on the border of Alabama. You've got two states. You're pulling from Phoenix City, Auburn, around that area. You got LaGrange, Harris County, Muskogee County in this area. It's a huge community. I know technically Columbus is just a city, but when you think Columbus, you think really this entire Tri-City area. That's a market right there in itself with CSU, because I know everybody thinks Atlanta, major city. Columbus is the second biggest city in Georgia. So how big of it you want to capitalize on Columbus and it growing and having Fort Benning, really close to us to allow CSU to kind of benefit being in a big city like this?
Absolutely. I mean, Division II motto is life in the balance. And I think owning our backyard, we've got everything we need in Columbus, as you just said,
right?
To lead in attendance, to lead in game day experience.
Yep.
But it's a two-way street. We've got to lift the community. We've got to support the community. So community is absolutely huge. As I look around this area and how big it is, I see opportunities for Columbus State to go out and be engaged in the community and help in the community, and to provide affordable family fun. I've been to the Clingstone games. I think that helps the Columbus community greatly.
Yep.
I was talking to the GM yesterday, and how I want to get with him and just how we can partner and how we can, because the old saying that's overused, a rising tide lifts all boats. It's true.
Right.
So really for us, it's getting in the community, but we want to provide something back. We want to provide camps that are affordable for families during the summer, and they can not only be a part of our student athletes and get to know our student athletes, but have a place for their kids to go when they're not in school.
Right.
We want to provide, family fun. We want to provide access so people aren't having to drive to Auburn. People aren't having to drive to Atlanta to see top tier athletics. I think that's one thing that people don't know is the level of competition. If you come out and watch our women's soccer program, who's one of the top tier programs in the country, this, sometimes people hear Division II and think it's a lesser product. But to be honest, our women's soccer program is one of the top programs in the country. And that's our tennis program, our golf program, our men's and women's basketball program, baseball won a national championship,
right?
Softball. This is great athletics that you can see and be home in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we want to be. We want to be a place where you can bring your family, you can do it affordably. You can have access, you can get to know the players, you can get to know the student athletes.
No doubt.
And then you see us in the community. And we're at the elementary schools opening the doors and, hey, Mom, I want to go to the basketball game tonight. That's what we're looking for. But it's a two-way street. We want to give back to the community. We want to help where we live, work, and play get better.
Right. And I think I have this saying that when I was a teacher, man, to the kids, it's cool to care. It's okay to care about your grades. It's okay to care that you failed and you want to get better. You don't have to play it off like, man, I don't care about that. It's cool to care. It's cool to go to CSU. I want to put that out there because I think sometimes in this area, they think the D2 or they want to get out and go somewhere else, or people that in general love seeing sporting events. They feel like they got to go to Auburn or the Atlantas, or you may mention, or the Montgomerys. You don't have to do that. You got high-level players that go on to the pros right here in your own backyard. Why not support locally? And I think that's a good start for you to get out in the community and get more people involved here, man.
Absolutely. And we want to be just a major part of the community.
Yeah.
The whole university. And that's from Dr. Rayfield down. Yeah. I know Columbus State is a part of this community. When I go out, I hear it. It's not like, Columbus State has just been absent. I just want to go deeper. No matter where we're at today, right, there's more we can do. And it's in a really good spot. But as I've talked to people, when's the last time you were at a Columbus State athletic event? When's the last time you went to a play at the River Theater downtown, which I took my 3-year-old to see Giraffe Can't Dance the other day. Great production by the CSU Theater Department. Those are the type of things that, Columbus State has to offer for the community that we want people to know about.
Right. I think that's a great point, Coach. Now, you decided to come here at CSU. And, normally in these interviews, we talk about each one of the sports. But, Coach, you've had only about a month or so really to get ingratiated. I know you've done your research. I know you know about all the programs, but you're still learning and what each of the coaches need. But I really want to kind of start with fall. You got soccer and Jay Itlich. I really want to start there. For most schools, football is the tone setter. You know what the tone setter for CSU is? That's soccer. Because every single year they're in the Final Four, they're a top 5 team in the country, and they set the standard for the rest of the sports. How important is he to this university, and how has your relationship been with him early on?
That was great. I mean, we've got one of the best coaches in the country in women's soccer, I think, at any level. His teams constantly compete at a high level, as you mentioned. But the one thing I've been impressed with Jay is his soccer camps and how he's in the community, how he's ingrained in the community. I went out one day, took my daughter to a soccer camp, was able to spend some time out there, and just the number of people and kids that were there. He's done a great job. So he sets the tone, I think, in a lot of ways. I think all of our coaches do, as I've watched camp and I've watched them interact. But yeah, obviously them in cross country kick off the season for us in the fall, and it's big. Their consistency over the years from the women's soccer program is something that we've come to rely on. And I'm excited to watch them take the pitch this year.
Yeah, I am too, man. And we had the pleasure of covering them last year and having Jay Lynch on when we do our CSU coaches show. And that guy's a gem. He's got a lot of knowledge. And I don't care what sport you're in. When you find someone successful, you can take a lot of things from them and apply it to other different sports. Now, cheerleading and Jimbo Davis. It's the reason I was going to have a whole segment for him. I was like, let me just go ahead and coincide it with cheerleading. For one, Jimbo Davis, when you think CSU in this community, the first thing that pops up for CSU athletics is Jimbo Davis. For one, he's a character that I love dearly. Everybody loves him. How has he been for you making this transition? You got to have a Jimbo Davis to make it easy on him.
If I need something, I just text Jimbo and he makes it happen. Right? We all need that problem solver. But I met Jimbo when I was down here for the regional basketball tournament.
Yeah.
He didn't have a clue that I was involved in the process at the time, so I was just able to enjoy his personality and kind of the character that he is. And then I think later he kind of figured it out, and he was, didn't change who he was or that he was willing to help and help out. And no, he's been awesome. Our cheer program's won 7 national championships, I think. He wants that 8th one bad. And we had some cheerleaders in here last night practicing late. I was in the office late and went to go out, and they were in here. So I know they put in the work. They're a great front porch for the athletic department. I know they're at a lot of events. They're out in the community. And so just Jimbo's dedication, his years of service to the community has been great, having that knowledge coming into it. Because you can replace people, but you can't replace process knowledge and relationships. And obviously he has a lot of those.
Yeah, I love him. I appreciate him and helping facilitate the partnership we've had with CSU over the years here at Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And he's fun. He'll do anything for anyone. Absolutely. And it doesn't matter if you're a cheerleader or don't even play sports at CSU or even go to CSU. Jimbo Davis is always about helping the community. So I want to make sure that we make sure he knows how much he's loved here, and he is a Hall of Famer too. We have the Chattahoochee Valley Sports Hall of Fame. He should be in that. He should be in CSU's. This guy, when he retires, he's going down as one of the best. For basketball, you got 2 really high-level coaches.
Absolutely.
You got Robert Moore, who I've known, and I've had a lot of my former teammates growing up and stuff play for him, and he sent a lot of guys on the next level. Matt Hauser's can create a consistent winner. Talk about those 2 guys and being able to get to know them here early on.
It's been great to just dive into their leadership style. I mean, I watched them this year. I got to see Coach Moore's team in person during the tournament. But at that time, Coach Hauser's and the women's basketball team were, I think, the North Georgia regional during that time. I was following along a little bit with them. But you see product on the court, and that's the end result of a long process of getting to that point, right? And I think that's one thing about athletics is that you build and build and build. So really getting to know them from a leadership perspective and getting to know how they interact with their teams, how they build, what they think they need for their programs. The main thing they need for their programs is the Olympic Center to be full.
Yeah,
and they've got a lot of other things already in place. So, our mission this year will be to increase attendance, to go deeper in the community, and to really show our athletes that they're supported.
Right.
And because there's nothing like home court advantage. There's nothing like home field advantage when it's a tough place to come play. So whether that's the CSU students, or that's the community, hopefully it's local youth basketball teams. Hopefully it's elementary school kids. Hopefully it's Clingstone season ticket holders.
Right.
Hopefully it's everybody. I hope we have people driving for 2 hours to come watch CSU athletics and all our sports because it's such a good product. But what I really want is the person that lives 5 minutes from here.
Yeah,
they can pop over and what it can be a part of the community and feel like they're part of CSU. We want people on campus. As you said, it's a beautiful campus. There's so much that this university can offer: continuing education, degrees, non-traditional students. We're building a new robotics center that's going to be a leader. And I heard from Columbus Tech the other day that they're building a robotics lab, and we're going to train different people. They're going to train the people that operate them and work on them, and we're going to train the people that program them. And
that's awesome.
How that comes together, those things excite me. Whether it's in athletics or it's other parts of the university, those are the people that we want on this campus to really dive into what CSU as an entire university has to offer.
And I'm glad you made mention about the whole landscape of CSU you're trying to promote out there for the student athlete to come here, okay? Because there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of different degrees. And shout out to the comm department and everyone down there, because that's where my degree's in. So I got to show some love to my department down there, Chris Robinson and them. But Justin, you had 2 guys too, and Matt and Chris, who Robert Moore, who won 20 games last year. For one, it was one of the best season in boys history, and they've got a pretty good history with Herbert Green being the former coach. I just love where the basketball programs are at. And then same thing for the spring sports. You got a Hall of Famer legend, national champion, and Coach Appleton. I don't know what you can say about him. And then softball's led by done a really good job over the years. Tennis is probably one of the best in the country.
Absolutely.
Golf, are you kidding me? We've had professionals come from this golf program and professional coaches. Talk about those spring sports, and it's literally every sport is high level. It's not one sport that's kind of not keeping up with the rest.
Absolutely, and the track program as well.
I have track and field. Sorry.
I think they've both finished second in the conference tournament this year, and we're
Yeah.
looking to push them. But I mean, you look around with Coach Appleton. He won a national championship in 2008. Right. You've got Brad with softball, who you go out there and look at the wall and all the conference championships and what they've done in I think the 18 years he's been here. So you're right. The spring sports, Lee and Kristen over in golf are doing amazing things. Got back to the national championship tournament for men's golf this year.
Right.
And so, and then you got tennis, who, arguably probably one of the best programs. I think that would be a great debate on a podcast of which program is really the flagship. And Jimbo would probably have an argument with cheerleading, and Evan would have an argument with tennis. Greg would have an argument with baseball, and
Jay with soccer.
Jay with soccer. I mean, I think that could be, a great debate.
Right.
Y'all can do that down in the comments and tell us which one's best. Because I don't know that I could decide on what that is. I think the spring sports, all our sports, have just competed at a high level, and we're looking forward to, making sure that those are sustained. And I think as we look forward, it's not, we don't have a whole lot of, there's not a rebuild here. There's a reload. We're going to go through those cycles as we navigate new Division I NIL rules and transfer portal rules, and we'll have to. But how do we sustain so that we want to plant a tree that the shade we don't sit under, right? So that the 30 years from now, somebody's sitting here talking about, well, Coach Green obviously set this place up for success because we're still succeeding.
Yeah.
And so those are the things that are exciting to me.
Yeah.
Is like, how do we continue the legacy of these programs? How do we make sure they continue for years and years and years?
Direction. It's like you're leading me into that question. It's like he's done these interviews before. Professional over here, man. Direction of CSU under Justin Hay. What are those foundations? What are those plans, those steps, those things that are going to be necessary for us to continue that success you just talked about?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's developing the whole person, right? And it's how do we align with the university and their mission? Because we're just an arm of the university, and we help them, complete their mission.
Right.
So it's academics, it's graduating, it's keeping our alumni close so they can do cool things and that we can be a part of it.
Right.
So it's going to start in the classroom. It's going to start in how we're developing and how we're pouring into our student athletes. It's going to be about the community. Where are the areas we can get deeper? What can CSU athletics provide? Is it getting in the community and doing more free clinics to get kids involved in sports at an early age?
Right.
Is it going out and doing community service and making sure that people know that we are just so proud to be a part of this community and we want to give back? So classroom, and then there's the competition piece. That's the piece that we're just got to sustain.
Right.
I think we can continue to put our coaches in better situations so that there's not a reload, that they're just, every year it's year in, year out, that team's good.
Right.
We've got some teams that are there, some teams that they still ebb and flow a little bit, but that's the course of college athletics. And I would love for every one of our teams to be in that situation.
Yeah.
So as far as the vision for CSU athletics, it is how do we continually develop the whole person? How do we develop leaders and servant leaders that are going to go out in the community? Because through word of mouth, promote this university and what it did for them.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, we want people who are telling people Columbus State is the reason I'm here, or they helped me get here if it wasn't for Columbus State. And they recognize the value of the education of, when we talk about education, it's not just the classrooms.
No.
It's the leadership. It's the development of, emotionally, socially, the growth you go through in college. We want to be a part of that.
And I will say, just to kind of give my personal story, if I wouldn't be here as a broadcaster if I didn't have 4 years to grow on air because of Dr. Dana Gibson, Chris Robinson, who is in charge of streaming down there, who's still my mentor. I call him Uncle Chris to this day, and I'll call him for anything when I want advice. Having those people that invested in me and allowed me to grow, make mistakes, I'm always going to be appreciative of that. And that's why CSU is so unique and such a great school. And I want everyone in the community out there to know that. When we come back from break, we're going to kind of wrap it up, talk about how important the relationships with local high schools are. And then he'll give his final spiel to the community on why y'all need to come out and support 2025, 2026 CSU Athletics here. Say the programs. We'll be right back on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
The clock is ticking on the spectacular pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUV sale now in progress at Glenn Smith in Opelika. Choose from over 200 pre-owned clean late model vehicles, many with no down payments and extended financing. Prices and payments on all pre-owned trucks, SUVs, and cars have been slashed. This is your chance to get a really nice used car, truck, or SUV at the price and payment you want. Some as low as $200 a month. Special finance rates are now in effect. One location only. Glenn Smith in Opelika, Alabama.
Welcome back. University Avenue, CSU, home of the Cougars. And we got the new man in charge, Justin Hay. He's got a face for TV and a voice for radio, and he has done a great job here on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, sitting with an athletic director, state of the programs. Justin, your relationship with the high schools, man. I was talking with Robert and a lot of the Jay Itlick, obviously Greg Appleton, those relationships with local high schools. In our coverage area alone, for the schools we cover, 16 of them. And if you expand out to LaGrange and Auburn and Opelika, you're at another 10. That's 26 local high schools in about a 30 to 45-mile radius, man. That's a lot of schools at your disposal that come out with a lot of talent. How important is that relationship with the local high schools just locally around our area?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you've heard me say multiple times today on our backyard. And we don't ever want to travel to an opponent or a rival and see a kid from Columbus on their roster,
right,
or the surrounding area. And obviously that happens some depending on where rosters are and that. But want to have a good relationship, want them to feel that they can call us for anything. It's so important in the grand scheme of things because we're all rowing in the same direction. We want their athletes to have an avenue to stay close to home, so their parents can watch them play and compete. I went to school in Montgomery 5.5 hours from my parents, and my dad tried to make every game. Mom made some games, but it's tough, right? So if you're being recruited, it's nice to stay close to home so mom and dad can come watch sometimes. But
right.
And aunts and uncles and all, we want everybody.
Right,
so
the whole family, man.
The more local talent we have, the more fans we get.
Right.
But outside of just the recruitment piece, just being an avenue for those coaches, anything we can do to help them professionally, to help them grow. Our practices are open. I know just with Coach Moore, I know how much he works with, and just is willing to share. And I think that's part of being a leader in the community is the ability and the willingness to go out and help, right? And say, hey, and we can learn a lot from those coaches too. Some of the best coaches I've ever met were at the high school level, and they loved it. And we've got to have those high school coaches that are committed to their purpose and their why,
no doubt,
of developing the high school athlete, or we're not successful. Yeah. Right. So anyway, we can help that. We know that's a huge piece.
And we, Muskogee County hosts some basketball tournaments that are here, and having like the CSU team camps that bring in those high schools here to play in the gymnasium, see the campus. I think that's a big deal, and I know you want to continue that. Any way to showcase how beautiful these facilities are is pretty awesome. But we were here literally 2 weeks ago. You walked by us when we were doing the boys team camp. The very next week we did Matt Hauser's girls team camp. Ton of high schools in here seeing what this has to showcase. That's a beautiful avenue to kind of people put a filler out there for how great CSU is, man.
Absolutely. Anytime we can get people on this campus, it's a win.
Yeah.
I think I've been shocked by the number of people that say, well, I haven't been on campus in a while, or I haven't seen that, or I haven't seen the Lumpkins. It's been here 20 years, right? So, I mean, I know we all get busy and we go about our day and in our routines. And so we want to bring people on campus so we want people to realize what we have to offer.
Final thing. This is your message. Look in that camera with that great face of yours, Justin. And I want you to tell everybody in the community why they need to come out and support 2025, 2026 CSU athletics and what's in store this year, man?
Well, I think we have an amazing level of athletics here. I think that we're going to support the community. We want the community to support us. We want to be a partner. If you've got organizations or you've got opportunities for us to get out in the community, my email's on the website. I want to connect. I want to find ways to go deeper. We want to help you in the ways that we can. It's not about necessarily the community coming out only to support us. I want us to be out in the community and people want to come support us because we're doing and we're helping and we're pouring into your passions. I call it value aligning. Where can we, if this is your purpose, where can we help? And because we know that the community is the reason that we are as successful as we've been over the years, and we know that the community is the catalyst to where we want to go. And so, come support us, come out, meet our student athletes, meet our coaches, meet other people, community leaders here. Let this be a place of collaboration. Let this be a place that we dream as a community, that we talk about what's next in the community. I love when I hear business people talking about business deals or I haven't met so-and-so, but I got to meet him at a Columbus State game and now we're forming a partnership. We're going into business together. Those things are awesome. Or, hey, I need some help over here at this nonprofit, but I know where there's 270 student athletes that are willing to roll up their sleeves and give back. Those things, we want you to support us, not because it's a cry for help. We want you to support us because we want to take the community up.
Yeah. His name is Justin Hay. He's athletic director of CSU, hopefully for a long time here, and we're going to be doing great things. Also, thank you to Clayton Bearfield, the SID, helping put this interview together. Coach, we looking forward to this continued partnership with CSU and coverage and making sure that everybody knows about how great athletics are here at Columbus State University. Thank you so much for your time. It's Sitting with an Athletic Director. State of the programs. We'll see you next time on Georgia Alabama Sports Live.